Hello, and welcome to Your Choice 2022 General Election coverage on HOMTV. I'm Samantha Deal. Today we're here for a candidate interview with Mark Polsdofer, a Democrat who is running for Ingham County Commissioner in the 14th District. Thank you for being here with us today. At this time, we'd like you to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to the viewers.
Thank you very much, Samantha. It's good to be back in the studio again. My name is Mark Polsdofer, and I am running for my third term for this commission seat. I was first elected in 2018 and re-elected in 2020. In 2020, I served as the chair of our Law and Courts Committee, and it's a rotating chairmanship, so I was honored to be chosen by my colleagues for that. And I also serve on the Finance Committee, along with the other duties of the full board. In terms of my professional background, I work at the Michigan Department of Transportation and Governmental Affairs, and I think that serves as a good parallel to county commission work as well, because that's a job where we deal with members of the State House, State Senate, and members of Congress, and we focus on transportation issues that they bring forward to have solved or addressed, and we don't focus on other things beyond that subject matter. And that's very similar to the constituent services aspect of county commissioner and what I focus on. When people bring an issue to my attention, I immediately wrap my arms around what that issue is and start working to see what we can do to get the problem solved. And for the viewers, if there's any issues relating to county government, or you're not sure whether it is or not, I'd encourage them to please reach out to me. My personal cell phone is 734-604-0856, or you can reach me by email at mpolsdofer@ingham.org.
Thank you. Each 14th District candidate will be asked a standard list of questions. For question 1, please explain how your educational and professional background make you an ideal candidate for Ingham County Commissioner.
Well, to build off what I had previously mentioned, prior to my position at MDOT, I worked in both chambers of the legislature and also as Deputy Director of Legislative Affairs for Governor Granholm. And so my experience and background is definitely involved in working with entities of government to solve issues and problems. Prior to my election, I served in an appointed role on the Ingham County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority and also on the Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors. In addition to that, my colleagues chose me on the County Commission to be the County Commission seat on the Board of Directors for the Lansing Area Economic Partnership, more commonly known as LEAP.
Please tell us about the communities and people of the 14th District and how you plan to meet their needs.
Well, again, I've always maintained a focus on doing constituent work and providing quick turnaround, and we have a very active and inclusive community in Okemos, but I don't just take this role with a focus of just insular Okemos, but more of a regional approach as well. We had an issue recently where residents of Stockbridge and the townships around that community had reached out to us with a concern about there being basically a healthcare desert down in the rural southeast portion of the county. And I worked with the commissioner from that area to support, and we were able to get some of the federal stimulus funds to coordinate with Stockbridge schools and the local communities to put in place a healthcare center that's and mental health services for that rural corner of Ingham County. Those sorts of things, I believe, we need to be focused on beyond just our own districts, but how we can benefit in the entire region as well.
These next several questions will cover prominent issues in Michigan. Please comment on Proposal 22-3 and share your thoughts on the current and future governing of abortion in Michigan.
Thank you. I will be supportive of Prop 3. My track record, I've been endorsed 3 times by Planned Parenthood Advocates of Michigan as a proponent of access to health care and abortion services for families and women and everybody. And I believe it's an important issue that we keep that access to individuals to have their own bodily autonomy and their own choice. This is something in addition to my support from Planned Parenthood Advocates of Michigan, I've been active in campaigns for 25 years, and I'm proud to have worked hard to get pro-choice candidates elected to Congress, State House, and State Senate, and also the governor.
Please speak on the state's teacher shortage and your plans, if any, to address it.
Well, it's definitely a statewide, if not nationwide, issue. In terms of how I will be addressing that, we don't really have a direct role on the county commission, but personally, I'm working hard to get good candidates elected to our local school board. In particular, I have endorsed our current president, Mary Jabara, Shulan Doxey, and Dr. Tom Buffett. I'm also going to be voting and am publicly supportive of the proposal to fund the renewal of the millage for our schools. It's not an increase. It's with the other expiring, it's a replacement, and the highlighted improvements to our school district, including brand new Chippewa and Kinawa, and upgrades to various other elementary schools and the high school, make this something I'm strongly supportive of.
Share your thoughts on any plans for school safety throughout the state.
Well, similar to what I hope we achieve with the millage for the school district, there are upgrades, for example, the secure vestibules that will be installed at all of our schools. It's an unfortunate reality that we need to be focusing and funding these types of things to deal with gun violence, but it's a reality that we need to deal with. I would like to note that we just on September 22nd launched Advanced Peace in Ingham County, and what that is, not directly correlated to schools, but it's a hands-on 18-month mentorship of individuals who have found themselves involved with gun violence, and the hands-on daily mentorship is to help break that kind of cyclical pattern of behavior with folks and kind of show them how they can find a better way. And this program, we've allocated funding for it for 3 years to make sure we can focus on all of this, not just on a year-by-year basis. And where this has been in place in other areas of the country, we have seen a reduction in gun violence by as high as 30 to 50% in some communities. So we're excited to get this underway in Ingham County.
Share your thoughts on Michigan's current infrastructure and any improvements you plan to make.
The Rebuild Michigan proposal that Governor Whitmer got in place a few years ago, we're seeing the benefits now of that due to inaction from the legislature. After she was elected, she went out and pushed her campaign, her transportation funding plan, and the state legislature unfortunately did not act. That's when she came up with the bonding proposal, which sets aside $3.5 billion. And so we're seeing the benefits of that right here in Meridian Township. The Grand River Project, more commonly known as M43, is one of those funded projects that's happening because of that Rebuild Michigan program. We've also got a number of other ones in the region, the rebuilding of 69 up near DeWitt, the complete reconstruction of 69 further south from Charlotte to Battle Creek, and in downtown Lansing, the continued work of rebuilding 496. So we've got a lot of active projects in that regard that I think are advancing our region. There is a side effect from the pandemic, however. Public Act 51 is how counties and cities, as well as the Michigan Department of Transportation, get funding, and that's through the collection of taxes on gas, diesel, some miscellaneous other things, and vehicle registration fees. What that effect has been coming off the pandemic, of course, when people weren't driving as much and businesses, the auto dealers were temporarily shut and people were unsure and not buying cars, the effect of that reduced revenue over the course of the pandemic meant that in 2020, Ingham County saw a reduction in $4 million roughly in revenue that we usually get. That also followed forward in 2021, where we also roughly were down from our usual amount by $4 million. So what that has meant for local projects is that some of them have had to be scaled back. I am thrilled that we were able to keep some important projects, particularly in Meridian Township, moving forward, like the reconstruction of the Okemos Road Bridge just north of Mount Hope, which, as all viewers are well aware, is still very much underway.
What is your attitude towards fiscal responsibility in the state government?
I practice that in my day job with MDOT. We focus on doing projects that are done and done right, and same thing with the county commission. I take my role to be a responsible steward of taxpayer dollars and make sure that we're spending it in ways that provide a real benefit and don't just support extraneous projects.
How do you plan to address economic instability and inflation within the state?
Well, admittedly, as a county commissioner, I have no real ability to deal with inflation, but one of the key focuses, I think, is on economic development, and that is something with my role on the board of directors at LEAP in particular that I'm glad to be involved with over the years here. LEAP is a quasi-governmental agency that works with businesses and governments in Ingham, Clinton, and Eaton County to focus on retention, expansion, or relocating jobs and businesses to our area. And we recently saw the announcement of the Ultium battery plant over next to the existing Delta Township GM plant. That's nearly a $2 billion investment in our region with an anticipated 1,700 new jobs. We currently have a number of businesses that are looking at our region, and should all of these entities that are looking at our region actually choose here, it's going to be a benefit and an increase of investment of as much as $13 billion and over 5,000 jobs. So I think our work with LEAP is very important in promoting our region. That's something that will help to, build up all of our communities, and not just the direct one where a particular business might cite themselves.
Please address the preservation of Michigan's natural resources.
That is another important issue. After I joined the board, we passed a resolution to aim for a net zero greenhouse gas emissions for Ingham County by 2040. And we are working toward fulfilling that. One thing that is included in that is performing an energy audit of all county facilities and structures, and that is an ongoing process right now. And one of the other aspects of this is we had directed the county controller as we identify opportunities to put in place renewable energy and more efficient infrastructure in the county, that the realized savings from that would be folded into a revolving fund, where the savings from that work would go into the revolving fund, and then we would use that as it builds up to then basically pursue more energy efficient projects with the county.
Please address Michigan's opioid usage and the statewide presence of fentanyl.
This is something that affects all communities. We have been, recently there was a statewide opioid settlement with the result that for the next 18 years, Ingham County will receive roughly $500,000 every year. The first 172,000 is on its way. It's taken a little longer with the whole lawsuit. We'd anticipated this money was coming in the spring, and our Human Services Board is looking at setting up a work group that will include members of the Ingham County Health Department and service providers for substance abuse and counselors and other entities to come together and try and figure out what the best use of these resources are now that we're going to be having a sustained amount to the tune of $500,000 for the next 18 years.
How do you believe the district and the state of Michigan should approach new or continued diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts?
Ingham County recently hired a director of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I think I know that our local school district has that as well. I believe that is an important aspect for us to focus on. Another thing we've done on the Ingham County Board of Commissioners is highlight that racism is a health crisis. And another thing we did was set up a racial equity task force. And what that group's charge is to look at everything within all of the departments of Ingham County and analyze how these processes and procedures are from the point of if they might be like not set up in a way that's truly equitable and inclusive and supportive of all members of society. And as they complete that charge, we are looking forward to seeing what they've identified, and I look forward to implementing what their suggested changes are.
We've reached our final question, so now please provide a closing statement sharing your goals for your district and the state.
Thank you, Samantha. It's been a great honor and privilege to serve the past 2 terms on the Board of Commissioners. I'm active in our community, and I look forward to hopefully serving a 3rd term on the Board of Commissioners. And again, if voters have any issues, I'd like them to feel free to contact me at 734-604-0856 or by email mpolsdofer@ingham.org. Thank you again for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for being here. And thank you for tuning in to this candidate interview with Mark Polsdofer, a Democratic candidate for Ingham County Commissioner in the 14th District. I'm Samantha Deal, inviting you to watch live election night coverage right here on HOMTV on Tuesday, November 8th.